Emma sat at her favorite cafe, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly, her engagement ring glistening under the soft morning light. The past few weeks had been a whirlwind of excitement, choosing floral arrangements, finalizing the guest list, and trying on her wedding dress. Her life with Jake was finally falling into place. But in a single moment, everything shattered. Dear viewers, welcome to our channel. Subscribe to receive more stories every day. She had gone to their apartment that evening, expecting a cozy night in. Instead, she walked into a scene she would never forget. Jake, her fiancé, standing in their living room, bags packed, and an expression of cold determination on his face. And beside him, her best friend, Lauren. Emma felt her world tilt. "We need to talk," Jake said, his voice disturbingly calm. Lauren refused to meet her eyes. "Talk," Emma echoed, her voice barely a whisper. "You're standing there with packed bags. What is there to talk about?" Jake sighed as if he were the one being inconvenienced. "Emma, I don't know how else to say this. I'm leaving you. Lauren and we're in love." The words struck like a hammer to her chest. She looked between them, hoping, praying that this was some kind of sick joke. "You're in love?" Her voice trembled. Lauren finally glanced at her, guilt flickering in her eyes. "Emma, I never meant for this to happen, but it did. We didn't plan it." Emma's stomach twisted in disgust. "Didn't plan it? How long has this been going on?" Jake hesitated. That hesitation was the only answer she needed. "All this time," she whispered, her fingers curling into fists. Jake exhaled sharply, shifting uncomfortably. "I didn't want to hurt you." Emma let out a hollow laugh, the sound foreign even to herself. "Oh really? You're telling me this like it's some noble act, like you're doing me a favor." Lauren took a step forward. "Emma, please. Don't," she snapped. "You were my best friend. You knew every detail of my relationship. I told you things I never told anyone. And you," her voice broke, "you used that to take him from me." Lauren flinched but didn't deny it. The final blow came when Jake reached for his bags. "I'm sorry, Emma. I hope one day you'll understand." Understand? Emma's heart clenched as she watched him leave. No fight, no remorse, just a cold, calculated exit. They were gone, leaving her standing in the wreckage of a life that had been stolen from her. Days blurred into nights. Emma barely ate, barely slept. The once joyful wedding preparations became a cruel mockery of her heartbreak. Her phone buzzed constantly. Friends, family, even work colleagues calling to check in. She ignored them all. The betrayal cut deep. It wasn't just about losing Jake. It was about losing both of them. Every memory with Lauren now felt like a lie. Every inside joke, every late-night talk, every promise of sisterhood. It was all fake. One day, she forced herself out of bed and into the real world. She needed a distraction. Anything. That was when she saw it. A glossy invitation peeking out of her mail. Her breath caught in her throat. Jake and Lauren's wedding invitation. The sheer audacity sent a fresh wave of anger through her. They were getting married in 2 months. In a grand ceremony. The venue. The same one she and Jake had chosen together. The level of betrayal was almost laughable. Emma gritted her teeth. Enough was enough. She wouldn't be the woman who sat in silence while others walked over her. Emma spent the next few weeks pulling herself together. She hit the gym, reconnected with old friends, and focused on work. But beneath her calm exterior, she was waiting. She had learned something interesting, a legal detail that neither Jake nor Lauren seemed to have considered. One night, after a few glasses of wine, she found herself scrolling through old emails. That's when she stumbled upon it. A confirmation from a Vegas wedding chapel. Her heart pounded as she read it. Months ago, she and Jake had gone to Las Vegas for a weekend trip. It was a drunken, impulsive night filled with laughter. And apparently, a wedding. She had completely forgotten. And so had Jake. The document was clear. They were legally married. Emma sat back, gripping the armrest of her chair. It meant Jake couldn't legally marry Lauren. not without first divorcing Emma. A slow smile spread across her lips. Jake had left her for Lauren without a second thought. But now, she held all the power, and she intended to use it. Emma spent the next few weeks playing the long game. She wasn't reckless. No, she was strategic. If she wanted her revenge to truly sting, she needed timing. She watched from a distance as Jake and Lauren basked in their upcoming wedding bliss. Social media was flooded with photos. Cake tastings, dress fittings, venue walkthroughs. They had no idea what was coming. But Emma did. Because Jake and Lauren were so absorbed in their fantasy, they failed to take care of something very important. His previous marriage. 2 weeks before the wedding, Emma made her first move. She walked into a lawyer's office with a single request. File for divorce from Jake. Looks like your husband never annulled this, the lawyer noted, flipping through the papers with an amused expression. Emma smirked. Nope. And he's getting married in 2 weeks. The lawyer let out a low whistle. That's going to be a problem. Emma leaned forward. Can we make it his problem? The lawyer chuckled. Absolutely. We'll send him the divorce petition. He'll be forced to deal with it before he can legally remarry. Perfect. The paperwork was processed, and the documents were sent directly to Jake's workplace. Not his home, not Lauren's apartment. His office, where he was guaranteed to open them in front of his colleagues. And Emma. She waited. 3 days later, Emma got a call from an unknown number. She knew exactly who it was. She picked up, keeping her voice calm. Hello. Long pause. Emma. Jake's voice. She could hear the barely contained frustration, the edge of panic. What a surprise, she said, feigning innocence. How's the wedding planning going? Cut the crap. His voice was tight. What the hell is this? Oh, you mean the divorce papers? She let out a small laugh. I figured you'd need them, considering you're still legally married to me. His sharp intake of breath told her everything she needed to know. You can't be serious, he growled. That Vegas wedding didn't mean anything. It means something to the state, she replied smoothly. And to your upcoming wedding venue. Because last I checked, bigamy is a crime. Fix this, he demanded. Now. Emma smiled. Now he was the one begging. Oh, Jake, she said sweetly. I'm happy to sign the papers, but divorces take time. Court processing, filing fees. We might not get this wrapped up for, I don't know. 6 months. His breathing turned ragged. Emma, listen. But she wasn't finished. Oh, and one more thing, she added. Did you read the fine print? You signed a prenup back then. One that gives me half of your assets in case of divorce. Silence. Pure, stunned silence. She could hear the moment he realized just how badly he had screwed up. You! His voice cracked. That was a joke. A drunken joke. Emma sighed dramatically. Unfortunately, the law doesn't see it that way. And then, for the final blow. I'll be keeping half of everything, Jake. Even the apartment you live in. By the next day, the wedding was in full crisis mode. Emma took a sip of her coffee as she scrolled through Lauren's now-deleted social media posts. It looked like the perfect couple wasn't so perfect anymore. She had one final move to make. And that was showing up at the wedding. Emma arrived at the venue early, slipping inside unnoticed. It wasn't hard. Most of the guests were too distracted by the extravagant setup to notice an extra body. She watched from the back as guests took their seats. The tension in the air was thick. Lauren stood at the altar, dressed in the very gown Emma had once planned to wear. But there was one problem. Jake wasn't there. Murmurs spread through the crowd. People checked their phones. Something was wrong. And then the doors slammed open. Jake stormed in, looking disheveled and frantic. He marched up to Lauren, grabbing her arm. We need to talk. Now. The microphone picked up Lauren's shaky voice. Jake, what's going on? Jake swallowed hard. We can't do this. Gasps rippled through the crowd. What? Lauren's voice rose. What are you talking about? Jake closed his eyes. I'm still married. Silence. And laughter. Emma stepped forward, arms crossed. That's right, everyone. The groom forgot to divorce his first wife. Lauren turned ghostly pale. You're lying. Emma pulled out the documents and waved them in the air. Oh, I wish I was. But your beloved fiancé. He married me months ago in Vegas. And thanks to his little prenup mistake, I now own half of everything he has. Chaos erupted. Lauren stumbled back, shaking her head in disbelief. Jake, tell me this isn't true. Jake, cornered like a trapped animal, ran a hand through his hair. I didn't know. Lauren's lips trembled. You said you loved me. Emma tilted her head. Guess love doesn't mean much when money is involved. Lauren snapped. She ripped off her veil and slapped Jake across the face so hard the sound echoed. You're an idiot, she spat. I gave up everything for you. And now you're broke. Jake stammered. Lauren, please. Save it, she hissed. I wanted your money, not your mess. She turned on her heel and stormed out of the wedding, leaving Jake humiliated and alone in front of hundreds of people. Emma watched it all with a satisfied smile. Revenge. Served. The wedding venue was in shambles. Guests whispered in shock, some grabbing their things and rushing out to avoid further embarrassment. Others, including Jake's family, sat frozen, their expressions a mixture of disbelief and horror. Lauren had vanished, her designer gown dragging behind her as she stormed out. The wedding she had schemed so hard for had become a public catastrophe. And Jake? He stood at the altar, humiliated and abandoned, his once proud posture reduced to a hunched figure of regret. The man who had walked away from Emma so confidently now had nothing. Emma savored the moment. But she wasn't done yet. She stepped forward, every eye in the room turning toward her. Slowly, deliberately, she pulled the marriage certificate from her purse and held it up. For those of you who are confused, she said, her voice carrying through the stunned silence. Jake is still married. To me. More whispers. Jake's father, an imposing man who had been sitting near the front, rose to his feet. His sharp glare sliced through the chaos. Is this true? He demanded. Jake swallowed hard. Dad. Yes or no? His father cut in. Jake hesitated. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he admitted. Yes. The weight of that one word crushed any remaining dignity he had left. His father's face darkened. You disgrace this family, he said coldly. After everything we have given you, you repay us with this? Jake's mother let out a strangled gasp, covering her mouth in horror. His father shook his head in disgust. You were raised to be better than this. Emma could tell from the look in his father's eyes. This wasn't just disappointment. It was the end of Jake's free ride. He turned to Emma. How much does he owe you? Emma lifted her chin, maintaining her composure. Legally, half of everything he owns. Jake's father let out a bitter laugh. Serves him right. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a checkbook and started writing. I'll settle this for you, he muttered, tearing the check and handing it to Emma. I want this mess out of our lives. Emma took the check and barely suppressed a smile. She didn't even need the money, but knowing that Jake's father had completely cut him off was satisfying enough. And Jake? He looked as if the ground had disappeared beneath him. Everything he had counted on. His cushy lifestyle, his family's wealth, his new love, gone. Lauren wasn't coming back. His father wasn't bailing him out. And Emma? She had won. Emma walked out of the venue with her head held high. She had spent so long mourning what she thought she had lost. But now, standing under the sun with a future completely in her hands, she realized something. Jake leaving her had been the best thing to ever happen. Because he didn't break her. He freed her. A sleek black car pulled up in front of the venue. The driver stepped out and opened the door. Miss Carter, he said respectfully. Emma smiled. She slid into the car, feeling lighter than she had in years. As the car pulled away, she glanced at the check in her hands. a fortune in her name. But more than that, she had something even better: closure. And Jake. He was left standing in the ruins of the wedding he had destroyed himself. Alone. Game over. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story and tell us where you're watching from.